Mm-hmm.
So I'm not even coming from a good space in that intention, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not, I'm not even coming from I'm not coming from a space of of peace and love and all that.
Right. No. What you're saying is you wanted something out of fear.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Right? Not out of abundance and trust.
No, there was no love and abundance in that choice. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It was definitely a space of fear and of trying to cram myself back into what I thought I was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. Right. When we want something so badly to fix something, that's usually out of fear.
Yeah.
And that's not the way to want something.
And you know what? There was a lot of pain. Like I was in a lot of just emotional pain in that situation because it was just, it was an unraveling. It was really an unraveling time in my life. And how do you make that stop? I just want it to stop.
Mm-hmm.
And so...
Yeah, listen, but everybody wants a Band-Aid when we're in pain.
Yeah.
Everybody wants a Band-Aid when we're in pain.
Mm-hmm. And that's definitely where that decision was coming from. Rather than saying, what other opportunities do I have or where, and, kind of coming back to that whole faith, trust, that space of, well, what is best for our family? I was not coming from that space at all.
Well, it's funny because you said you were trying to fix your family, but not what was best for your family.
No, it was to fix.
Isn't that interesting how it's similar but completely different?
Oh, yeah. No, I totally agree. And now that you asked me that question as I'm looking back, I'm like, yeah, that is exactly what was going on. Mind blown.
Well, when we're in it, we can't see what we're doing, right? The expression hindsight is 20/20. But this is the cool part. This is the part where you can look back and call it out for what it was, and that all the more made you more whole.
Yeah.
You know.
And a lot of it is acknowledging, like you said initially, what is going on. Like acknowledging the tired. And this goes on like a whole different spectrum. Acknowledging that you're tired, or acknowledging that you're not making this from a place, you're making this decision from a place of fear. Like just acknowledging that that's even going on is like huge.
Yeah, and sometimes, I feel that a lot of times people resist what they're in because what they're in isn't great. I mean, take the cliche example of a couple who has a baby to save a marriage. Mm-hmm. So they're having a baby out of the fear that the marriage will disintegrate otherwise.
Yeah.
So they're using that distraction. So they want to keep resisting. Because if they actually stopped to accept that their marriage was in trouble, they don't want to see that the baby is not being birthed out of love.
Yeah.
But inevitably it's going to come out.
Yeah.
It has to come out.
It almost, and it seems like with those situations where, I'm sorry, I didn't turn my phone off. In those situations,
it's your phone, right?
Yeah, I'm accepting that my phone, I did not turn my phone off. And it's in those situations where you're like trying to fix or stop the pain. It seems to me that the solution you choose in those situations makes it worse until it ultimately like explodes or completely unravels.
Yeah. What you resist persists. It's there. It's not going to go away.
Yeah.
And it's okay to be in the less desired states. Of fear, uncertainty, fatigue, anger.
Yeah.
Because it is just that.
Yeah.
It's a state, and it does serve a purpose. It is it's information.
Yeah.
I mean, how do we grow if we're always comfortable, right?
But I sure do like comfortable.
I know. Well, that's why we keep striving for it. But it's better to strive for it with eyes open and acknowledge where you are, as opposed to the illusion that you really are comfortable, even though your ship is sinking.
Yeah. Yes.
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 So keep your eye on the prize. We talked about this before, and just acknowledge the ups and downs, but you see ultimately where it is you want to go.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's just so many... You know what I think, too, is that I think part of it for me is, like, I feel like I try to do what society tells me I'm supposed to do.
Which is what? What specifically?
Like, God, for instance, this is another example. It's an old example. I had went to, after I graduated high school, I went to a community college. I did 2 years. I just I wasn't ready to go to a 4-year, transfer over to a 4-year. And so I ended up looking at different opportunities. I'm like, well, I have to do something. You know, I have to do, you know, something good. And so I ended up joining AmeriCorps. And I wanted to do it, but then I didn't want to do it because I needed to do something. And I kind of did it because I started the process. It didn't really feel right.
Yes.
So I ended up doing it, and I hated it. I did it for a while, but I was doing a lot of, you know, painting, and then we were rebuilding trails. And okay, now rebuilding trails, that's hard work. And it wasn't bad that we were rebuilding the trails. It was the fact that I was building them a lot without a lot of help. A lot of the other people that were also AmeriCorps volunteers were doing other things that were not currently legal at the time, which are now legal in Colorado, while I was building the trail. So I remember being super resentful, but I was like, I have to do this.
So what is the word that you keep saying that doesn't feel like it was coming from a good place?
It was like I had to. I
had
to do it, yeah.
You didn't say I wanted to do it. You said I had to do it. That you had pressure to do it.
Yeah.
And the decisions that come from peace, love, and abundance should not come under pressure.
Yeah.
It's a very great observation you had. You know, listen, AmeriCorps, that's wonderful.
They are
for
wonderful.
The people, but it should be coming from a place of inspiration and not obligation.
Yeah. Because
there's many ways to be of service, and that just didn't feel like that jived with you.
No, it did not. It did not, but that's what I was, you know, I joined it, I got into it, I was a couple months into it, and I'm like, I'm done, I can't do this anymore.
Well, good for you for not staying the whole year and calling it out.
That was a struggle, though, because I'm like, God, I can't quit this. I don't have anything really lined up, you know. It was a hard decision, and who quits a volunteer position once you've been accepted and all that stuff, you know?
Because you felt like you had been selected and you're here to do something for the greater world.
Yeah, and society's like, oh, you're such a good person, and you feel like an evil person when you quit.
So now you abandoned all the people you're trying to help. Doesn't feel good. Yeah. Now you feel like you've screwed yourself and the people.
Pretty much.
But you did it. So tell us how you survived that. Tell us what happened.
Well, it's an interesting thing how it turned out. My brother actually, during the same time when I was working at AmeriCorps, volunteering at AmeriCorps, my brother ended up going to college at this really great college, Wyotech. It's like one of the best automotive. I come from a family of mechanics and farmers, so he found this great college, and he went there, and they just seemed like it was a small college. They really cared how well he did, that he completed his classes, and that he was successful. So I was helping him move into his dorm room or whatever. And I remember riding with my parents home, and I told them, I said, you know what, I'm going to find a college like that, because that's what I want. And I did. I actually found one up in Montana. It was rated one of the best schools.
And look at the words you just said so easily.
Yeah.
Because that's what I want.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
And I just knew, too. You know when you just know, like, this is a better choice?
Yeah.
That's the kind of choice that was made. Like, even, like, in your class, you have us create a timeline. And one of our members created this timeline where she made decisions for herself and decisions society made. Do you remember that timeline?
Yes, it was amazing.
It was amazing, and I'm like, and that's if my timeline had been like that, that would have been one of those choices I made for myself or from my heart
Mm-hmm.
or whatever was going to that college. So, yeah, it's definitely a different feel when you make a choice from that space and then from the other. And honestly, it was also accepting that this is not working for me. And that's a hard thing to accept, This AmeriCorps is just not working for me.
So was it as bad as you had thought it would be when you told them I have to stop in the middle?
It was and it wasn't. I really felt disappointed in myself. But I also felt free at the same time. So I don't know how to balance that.
Listen, if you can, give AmeriCorps the finger. I mean, I'm kidding.
I know, right? I know.
You can do anything.
Right?
I'm just saying. I'm sure put a few hairs on your chest, so to speak, Lana.
It's almost like telling Mother Teresa, you know what, I can't do that.
Right.
I gave up my life and sold all my things to work for you, but I'm done. I'm out. I don't like you. Yeah, that's
peace. Namaste. Yeah. But to be fair, you are still very much a service, honing in on your own thing that is completely resonating and affecting people everywhere to accept themselves for the exact size they are and to break stereotypes, break the molds. So you're still doing your service. You're just doing it in the way you want to.
Yeah. And I think we all have to find that, and again, coming back around to the acceptance, like accepting that you may not be that what society is expecting of you. And that's a hard thing to accept.
Yeah, because it's not just society, right? It's your parents, it could be your spouse, it could be everyone immediately around you that you don't want to disappoint.
Absolutely. But
ultimately, you will be okay. You will survive, and you will be that much more respected for that. Because, the greatest things that have ever been accomplished are, through revolutions, through passion, have been people who have stayed to their truth even though it wasn't as accepted or as commonplace. They went against the grain. Mm-hmm. So to remember that. And, even if it's as simple as owning the fact that I'm going to take a nap this morning and live 3 hours of a workable day.
Yep.
To accept where you are and that your body is telling you it needs a time out and that actually this is more important. Mm-hmm. You are more important.
Yeah. Well, Danielle, we are getting close to running out of time. Did you want to add anything else?
Yes, I want to share again with our listeners who are local. Our first group to be offered in Virginia Beach at the Simon Family JCC off Witch Duck is starting next week, and there are still a few more spots available, so I'd really encourage you to call them at 757-321-2338 to register for the Let's Be Honest class. It meets every Wednesday from 9:30 to 11:30 in the morning, and there is babysitting, and you do not need to be a member, but you will get a free gym pass for the week to see their beautiful facility and to enjoy their classes and the indoor-outdoor pools and gym. And I have other classes also in Ghent in the area of Norfolk at the Muse Writer Center. I have morning and evening classes there. The morning class is just about full. There's also a class for continuing Let's Be Honest members on Sunday afternoons. And keep listening to our podcast. I think from popular request, we are going to change it to 3 p.m. instead of 4 p.m. next week so that my moms can listen to it on the way to carpool. Mm-hmm. So I hope you'll tune in. For now, though, still find us under Spreaker, Let's Be Honest, and it's Lana Simmons' name that you will find, and mine will be added next week.
Yes, it will.
One more thing. Please like us on Facebook, Let's Be Honest Ladies, and share your comments, what you thought of the show, other topics that you have in mind, maybe some stories on acceptance or wanting to be heard. We'd love to hear from you.
Yes, absolutely. And what's your website again, Danielle?
Okay, it's I'm going to be changing it, but for now, for radio purposes, it's underthetreewithdanielle.com /Let's Be Honest.
Awesome.